once again, welcome to the show. In today's episode, I am going to review a Game Boy Advance game. An awesome Game Boy Advance game. And actually, it's a follow-up to another game I reviewed, I think last year for the season 5 premiere. And I could be wrong. And actually, that game, if you haven't seen it, anyway, that game was the treasure of the treasure-made game, Gunstar Heroes. This was a really fun shoot 'em up or run and gun, and the company and the guys that made this were, from what I understand, made of former Konami employees. And I hear Konami isn't doing so well nowadays, so maybe that's a good thing nowadays. I mean, this game was fun. It had a unique weapon mechanic, how you could combine weapons, and it was pretty tough it could be pretty tough at times as well. You do this one more time? Well, anyway, the game I'm going to be reviewing, the Game Boy Advance game, as I mentioned, was a follow-up to that one. So in this game, a couple of years later, when the Game Boy Advance came out, was released this awesomeness. Gunstar Superheroes for the Game Boy Advance, of course. And this game is fun. Although it does have, even though it is kind of, I consider it kind of a reimagining of the Genesis game, but it has a couple more things to make it fresh and pretty awesome. Well, anyway, enough talk of that. Enough of the intro. Let's roll those fancy credits and get to saving the Earth and stuff from the evil empire once again. Gunstar Heroes, or I should say Gunstar Superheroes, was released in 2005 for the Game Boy Advance. Anyway, story-wise, this is a follow-up to the original Gunstar Heroes on the Genesis, where it takes place after you beat the final boss in that game. The explosion from that boss creates 4 moons that go around the Earth. However, though, some years later, there's a 5th moon that's created that reveals a plan by the Empire to resurrect the boss, otherwise known as Gold and Silver, once again. Anyway, who can stop these guys? Well, the Gunstar Heroes can, or I should say the Gunstar Superheroes. Although in the manual, they're still known as Red and Blue, but these heroes are part of an organization called the Third Eye. And of course, there's a Gunstar Yellow, or Yellow she's known as in the game, that is kind of like their support. Basically, she apprises you of the mission, which is pretty cool. And so you gotta travel to the moons, stop the Empire, and recapture the treasure gems, which were a part, I think, of the, let's see here, they were a part of the Genesis games as well. And also, this Gunstar Superheroes has different storylines, and that goes on what the difficulty you choose and which character you play as. Because in this game, Red and Blue, there's no free shot or fixed shot like in the original game. And also, the throw is taken out as well, although various melee attacks can be done using A or B in combination with the control pad. And also, unlike the Genesis version, as you know, in the Genesis version, you began choosing from one weapon, and then you can get another weapon as you play, and you can combine the effects of those weapons to do different things. Like, to me, as I've noted in my review of the Genesis version, I used the what I call the force weapon, and no, still, and by the way, that is still not a Star Wars reference. It's actually called that. And the chaser weapon to make a machine gun that homes in on your enemies. Also, likewise, there was like a flamethrower weapon. So if you had two flamethrower combined, it'd be a really long flamethrower weapon of sorts. Well, in this game, that is not there. Granted, those weapons are still in here, but you can choose freely between them. Each character, blue and red, have different weapons for themselves, although some have the same. Although I played this review as red, just because she is the one that has has my favorite, the force weapon. She also has chaser and I think what could be the flame weapon, although the flame weapon has been changed in this one. But still, I've just been using for the most of this review. I've been using some of the homing weapon, the chaser, the homing chaser, and some of the force weapon. But though, since you can't combine them, each weapon has what's called a supercharge meter. As you beat enemies, you can build up this meter at the top of the screen, as you've been seeing. And when it's built up enough, I think you can push R. I think you can change the controls, but I use R. Press and hold R, and you can in your weapon that you'll be supercharged. As you can see, my force weapon can be in supercharged mode. It's like a big bazooka that does way more in its weapon, and its power does way more damage than just using the regular force weapon. So that's pretty cool. Also, I should note the stages in here are pretty cool, although some of them do harken back to the Genesis iteration, and it borrows heavily from that. But there are a couple of changes. Most notably, the main change in this whole game is because it's on the Game Boy Advance, which is a little bit more technically more powerful than the Genesis. You get voiceovers or voices. Not a whole lot of voices, but a little bit. Especially when you fight Green, because yes, you do fight him. Speaking of that level, for Green's level, it does harken back to the Mineshaft level on the Genesis version. But in this version, in the Game Boy Advance version, whereas the Genesis one, you can only go up and you can only cling to the top or stand the usual bottom. In this Game Boy version, you can actually have 3 different ways you can be top, bottom, and you can click right in the middle. So although it might be easy, it might be make it a little bit easier. So you can test yourself to play the classic way to either top or bottom. But whatever floats your boat. And also, what I like about the stage is there's another stage that isn't like that. What's cool is there's a couple where you're on your ship, and I hope I'm showing this in the review right now. But there's for the first part, the first world or moon you go to, is you're sitting on top of your ship shooting stuff. And what's cool is it kind of shows off some of the Game Boy's rotation and stuff, because as you go you can rotate yourself, and you can see it, and so you rotate it to better destroy your enemies, which is cool. And also there's actually another even old school shoot 'em up type level too, and I hope I'm showing that too, and that's neat as well. So it's kind of cool. So it's not the exact same game. Treasure, the developer of this game, as well as the original Gunstar Heroes, really didn't make it. Kind of was like what was old is new again, and it shows. It's pretty cool. It's kind of cool that there are some of these levels do take you back to the original Genesis version, but there are a couple new levels thrown in just for the heck of it. Anyway, to wrap up, I thought this game was really fun, and I remember playing the original, the Genesis version, at my cousin's house back in the day. Because back in the day, I had a Super Nintendo, and my uncle had a Genesis. So there was a little bit of a console war. We can have a little banter about which was better. But nowadays, I know they're both both Sega and Nintendo are pretty cool. But anyway, one of the games we played was Gunstar Heroes. And I thought it was, at the time, I don't think I ever finished it at the time. But I did come away from playing that very, very impressed. And I actually, when I bought a Genesis, I actually finally picked it up myself, which was pretty cool. But anyway, though, I kind of find this odd because doing research about this, like, this game was so great, but it didn't sell too well. Like, this game was very received well. It got good remarks. I remember saying really good remarks for this game. And it just is weird because, like, this game is so awesome. I think I even hurts more that even in Nintendo Power is trying to get people to buy this game. But it just didn't sell well. Of course, it didn't help that I believe this came out around the time the Nintendo DS came out. But though on the box, you could basically, there is something on the box that says this can be played on the Nintendo DS, because the early models, you know, had Game Boy Advance backwards compatibility. So it saddens me that it probably didn't sell as well as it should. But if you see this on like at a game store, please pick it up. And I know it's, you know, please give it a shot. It's really awesome. And if you love running gun shoot 'em ups as well as anything made by, and if you know the developer Treasure and how awesome they are, like, you totally should pick this up. So enough talk of that. I guess I'll give my recommendation skill highly recommended. And as usual, please, if you do live in or around South St. Paul, Minnesota, or the Twin Cities, Minnesota metro area, please visit my excellent friends at Level Up Games. You know, they have, besides games, they have magic cards or collectible card games, if you wish to use that term, tabletop board games, cool collectibles, among other geeky cool stuff. And of course, I have a picture somewhere here, and their info, where they're located, and their website down below us here as well. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, cool, thanks! And I also, by the way, I have a Twitter feed, a Instagram, as well as a Facebook fan and group page. And that stuff's down below as well. And if you do like what you see, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. And I hope, and by now, I have a lot of episodes. I believe at this time, what you're watching is my 80th episode. Holy peaches and steak, Batman! Well, anyway, you know, thank you for those of you who have watched this. Thank you for watching me. I'm really glad you've stayed with me for this long. But I thank you, and I hope like you've had some. I hope you had some fun while watching the episodes thus far, and I hope you continue to watch them as well. Well, anyway, with that said, thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of Power Up.